Hello and thanks for tuning back into the IrishRacing.com YouTube channel. Back again with another episode of Emma's Eyecatchers in association with Tony Bett. This week's episode, I'm going to look at the top 5 most expensive point-to-pointers sold last season, see where they are now, a little bit about their races and their connections, reactions to their sales, a little bit about their pedigrees. Always a good place to find a star of the future of the point-to-point field. So probably 5 horses to add to your tracker and see how they do this season. We'll go from cheapest purchase to most expensive, but there isn't much on this list that comes up cheap. We start off with number 5, Swing Davis, a 4-year-old no risk at all filly purchased by Gordon Elliott to run in the Rob Corr Silks this year. Gordon splurged pretty big at the Punchestown sale last year. He bought 3 of the top 4 lots, I think a total of €870,000, but this filly was definitely pick of the lot. She cost 320 grand, and like I said, is going to run in the Rob Corr Silks this year. I suppose after a massive year for Rob Corr last year, it's nice to see them reinvesting heavily in their future in Irish racing, and we've seen how well Gordon can do with his point-to-point recruit. So she looks an exciting addition to the Rob Corr team. She was trained by Dennis Murphy when she won her point-to-point. She won second time out. She actually fell first time out. She was travelling smooth that day, but about 3 weeks later, she reappeared in Lock'n'More and made absolutely no mistake. She kicked away well from the field, showed a real good turn of foot to win that day on what looked like goodish ground. She's from a really stout National Hunt pedigree. I think she's the 3rd winner out of her dam. I think 2 in the point-to-point field and 1 on the track in France as well. Her sister actually produced Willie Mullins's classy chaser, Uncle Phil, and back in the family a bit then as well, there's that Claire on Davis, who was a really good 2-miler for Arthur Moore back in the 90s. So it's a real stout National Hunt pedigree. There's plenty of pace in there, and she looked to have a nice turn of foot when she won her point-to-point that day. So it'll be exciting to see what she can do on the track this year for Gordon Elliott and Rob Corr. Number 4 on the list is Cant Dance, who cost £300,000 at the Goffs Aintree sale last year. Another one we will be seeing appearing for Colin Shaw this year after he was purchased by Eddie O'Leary to run the Gigginstown Silks and to be trained again by Gordon Elliott this year. So another exciting one for Gordon on the list. And a quick glance at this lad's pedigree, even taking out his performance in his point-to-point, it's probably no surprise to see why he made this much money. He's by Jukebox Jury, obviously had a big year last year, flagship last year, probably being Il Était Temps, multiple grade 1 win over fences. And the dam side isn't too bad either. He's Dam Fairy Tale is by Spanish Moon, and very notably a half-sister to probably one of the best 2-mile chasers of all time in Masterminded, obviously a dual champion chase winner at the festival. So a big sales price was probably always on the cards for this lad as long as he delivered on the track, and he did do that, winning his Monk's Grange point-to-point first time out under rider/handler Rob James. Probably notable, Rob James, obviously a man who knows a lot about a good point-to-point horse coming through. He said he was very, very special after he won that day, and his performance on the track definitely matched those quotes. I think his winning time was 11 seconds faster than the average winning time on the day. It looked soft enough ground on the day, but he did it very easily coming down the hill there towards the second last. He took command of the race, got them all strung out pretty easily, and didn't look like he had too many worries coming down to the last, chewing a big jump there. You can see why he cost all the money, and another exciting one for Gordon coming into this year. Coming in at number 3 on the list, it's Buckna, a 4-year-old Order of St. George gelding who was purchased for £350,000 at the Cheltenham Festival sale last year. He was purchased by Tessa Greatrix of High Flyer Bloodstock and will be in training with Warren Greatrix this year. After spending, I think it was €420,000 on Mighty Bandit at that Caldwell disposal sale earlier this year, it's fair to say the Greatrix are going fairly hard on the progeny of Order of St. George. Fair enough to say Mighty Bandit probably really hasn't worked out so far, so hopefully this lad can do a bit better. He'll be going in the same silks of Jim and Claire Bryce this year for Warren Greatrix. In fairness, he won his point-to-point in Kirkstown well for Gerald Quinn and Noel McFarland. He kind of took up orders just after the second last. The front 2 kind of stretched a bit clear. Paul Collins was behind him that day. Maybe notably has been entered anyway at least to run this Sunday for Rob Corr and Gordon Elliott. So maybe it can be a bit dangerous to take point-to-point form too literally, but might be interesting to keep an eye on how Paul Collins runs, because in fairness, Buckna put him to bed quite easily that day. Jumped the last well, and when he was asked the question, he put his head down and galloped through the line. Looked to have plenty left in the finish. Kind of looking through his pedigree, it's fairly safe to say jumping and staying will be the name of the game going forward. It's kind of a page littered with 3-mile chasers. The 3rd dam produced Measure of My Dreams and Lord Who. They were both kind of black type, both grade 2 winners, I'm pretty sure, over fences, staying trips, both 3 mile chasers. So jumping, staying, probably the name of the game for Buckna, and hopefully the Great Tricks can have a bit more luck with the progeny of Order and St. George. On the list then is Manila Premier, who cost £400,000 at the Goffs Doncaster Spring Sale. Consigned by Manila Racing, he will go into training with Nicky Henderson this year for owner Oliver Harris. Nicky noted after the sale he had a lot of wow about him, and that was definitely the case on the day. I think 4 separate bidders went above the £300,000 mark on the day, which does not happen too often. To add to that, comments from John Mallon, who sold the horse, would have you kind of on the edge of your seat waiting to see this fella's racecourse debut. He said, Manila Premier is the most impressive point-to-pointer we've ever produced. He'll be a proper 2.5 mile horse at Cheltenham next March. Those are fair comments coming from a man who just in recent years alone has produced Gold Cup winner Manila Indo and Grand National winner Manila Times, among many, many other top horses who have come through that yard. So very, very exciting times. And in fairness, that performance in Ballyndennis could not really have been much more impressive. Once they kind of emerged from behind the trees again, after coming down the back straight, you saw him coming towards the second last. There was a couple of horses trying to hang on with him, but most of the field was strung out down the back. The smallest urgings from Johnny Barry, he just sprinted clear, coming down to the last fence. He was in splendid isolation. Absolutely nothing could raise a gallop with him, and ears pricked. He put in a massive jump. You kind of just tell how much was left under the bonnet there, and I'd say looked like he was probably just learning his job on the day. And in fairness, the pedigree probably matches the performance as well. His great granddam was Function Dream. You might remember she was a brilliant race mare. I think she won 11 times over fences. She won the Game Spirit Chase, I think, back in the day. But she went on then to produce Captain Chris, obviously a 3-time Grade 1 winner over fences for Philip Hobbs, including the Arkle at the Cheltenham Festival. So it's a pedigree kind of littered in speed. Those comments from John Allen would kind of make you think this could be a really classy horse for Nicky Henderson this year. He's in the right place to kind of get that potential out of him. And yeah, he's probably one of the ones I'm most looking forward to seeing, because there's a lot of buzz around this horse, and you can see why. And last but not least, the most expensive point-to-pointer sold at public auction last year, and it's a 4-year-old filly called Echoing Silence, who realised a mouth-watering £410,000 at last year's Cheltenham Festival sale. The hammer went down to Peter Maloney. She'll go into training with Henry de Bromhead, so the honeysuckle colours are back, and with another top-class mare, we're hoping. Quite a nice story behind this one as well. She was sold by Sam Curling on behalf of her owner, Karina Bowe. I think it was Karina's first go at consigning in public at the sales. She bought the filly as a 3-year-old with her dad, JJ, for $28,000, I think it was. And I think she was saying after the sale, she was thinking all along it would be a dream to even have a horse at the Cheltenham Festival sale. So to get this filly there after winning her point-to-point and to top the sale, making such a massive return on their investment, was an incredible achievement. And in fairness, you can see why this filly earned a pretty penny after her performance. She won her maiden in Ballycahan in March under Brian Lawless. She looked at kind of a big raw type of filly, a real high knee action. I'd say she'd probably relish a good cut on the ground. She won by 4 lengths that day, but I'd say she's probably value for the winning margin. She looked quite green, I'd say, when she got to the front. She probably didn't really know what she was doing, and she was just eased away home there. Her dam was a bumper winner, and she's actually already produced a Grade 2 winning hurdler in Deafening Silence, who's 2 from 3 so far for Dan Skelton. Won a Grade 2 hurdle at Sandown last year for him. Going back a bit in the family as well, there's kind of high-class staying chasers. Crash was a Grade 2 novice chase winner, I think, for Michael Harrigan. And going back a bit further again, Saxophone, who was quite a high-class staying chaser for Jim Draper back in the 90s, is on the page as well. So you can see probably why she made the big money. And Peter Maloney commented afterwards, he was told about her a month before she ran, I think. She's beautiful, just stunning. So he said we'll have to have a go. I suppose the connections add excitement to it, and it'll be nice to see what she can do on the track. So hopefully she's looking for connections. So those are the top 5 most expensive point-to-pointers sold at public auction last year. Let me know in the comments below which ones you're most excited to see, and thanks for tuning in again to the channel. Make sure and like and subscribe if you enjoy the content.